AskReddit. Married people of Reddit, what's one thing you didn't learn about your spouse until after your wedding day? She's a great swimmer. One day, after we'd been married for about 7 years, we joined a gym with a swimming pool. She challenged me to a race. Okay, I thought, I'm a pretty good swimmer. I was surprised when she offered me a half-length head start, and then doubly surprised when, despite my massive head start, she beat me easily. Apparently she used to be a competition swimmer at school. She's basically half dolphin. But she'd never happened to mention it before. She makes PB&J sandwiches by mixing the PB&J in a separate bowl before spreading it on the bread. Pure savagery. Thanks for the silver, stranger. My wife cannot read an analog watch/clock for time. Married 4 years, been together 7 years total, and somehow that came up only a month ago when I asked for the time off a watch during a power outage. I don't give her a hard time about it, but that was a fun fact to learn. It took me a long time to learn that in elementary school, and I still have problems with it now. It's like my brain is empty as soon as I look at a watch, and it takes a few moments for me to be able to start counting what time it is. So weird. It's like these moments where you stare at a book page and you see the words, but you're kinda not reading. My mom found out my dad was a compulsive liar when his twin sister didn't show up to their wedding. When questioned about it, he said she must have imagined the dozens of stories he had told about his twin sister. He is an only child. What the actual duck? How did he not think that one would come up again? I don't know. And why even make up a twin sister? What did he have to gain? People think they don't have interesting lives or stories to tell. I discovered my wife is a hoarder and doesn't want to throw anything away. She's gotten better over the years, but it's still an issue. Hoarding has roots in anxiety. When my husband cleans, I get anxious. I used to almost panic when he would take out the trash for fear something we needed, like a bill or something, was in there. When I clean, I'm fine and can easily throw things away, but I definitely can see where it can start to develop if you let it. A friend of mine eventually told his now wife that he didn't actually know French. He had been teaching her gibberish phrases. My name is Claude. Je duple plus. He absolutely cannot be trusted with desserts in the house. Back when we were engaged, he'd give me time to eat my half of the ice cream or Oreo package, or whatever we had on hand. Now, I'm sitting here eating Thin Mints from a stash from under frozen veggies in our outside freezer. My husband and I dated for 3 years before we got married. After more than a year of marriage, he let slip that he is lactose intolerant. He knew that I absolutely love ice cream and we would frequently get ice cream on our dates. But he never wanted me to know about the lactose intolerance so that I could be happy with my ice cream. Not me, but my mom found out decades later my dad was married when he married her, so yeah, my dad's a bigamist. She's always leaving the lids on everything unscrewed, and guess who is always breaking jars because he always picks everything up using the lid. He'd never been to a funeral. It didn't come up until we had to attend one, and he had questions. I've never been to one either. I'm 31. Dad passed and he was adamant about not having one. It's lovely that you honored his wishes. Yeah. We just tossed him in the river and it was all good. Close bracket. How insane his mother is. He was clear that they had a difficult relationship when he was growing up and that he is really close with his dad because of her behavior. Since we've been married, she's been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, and her health professionals say it's likely she has genetic degenerative neurology, Huntington's. She procrastinates cleaning until the task becomes unnecessarily difficult, which means she takes forever to clean, which means she hates cleaning, which makes her procrastinate. She also talks in her sleep, and that can be pretty funny sometimes. If my pants have 2 holes in them, why are 3 parts of me tired? Edit. Yay. Gold. And silver. My wife can't whistle, and she's never had a sloppy joe. Contrary to what my ex-wife said when we were dating, I learned she believed that sex was just for making kids. Sorry, Barry. I'm happily divorced now, almost 12 years, now that I do the math. But after we got married I learned that she viewed her money as her money and my money as our money. Which was interesting, because before we got married my money was our money and she didn't have money to speak of. Not that I was even making good money. But after we got married she got a well-paying job and suddenly her money was hers and mine wasn't mine. It didn't last long after that. He likes to eat fish. Somehow in our 6 years of dating, I got it into my head that he didn't like to eat seafood. My parents would cook dinner and invite him, and I'd constantly tell my mom, no, can you make something else? He doesn't eat fish. My husband loves most seafood, with the singular, random exception of coconut shrimp. We joke about that to this day, that I unintentionally kept him from some of his favorite foods without so much as a conversation about it. That's a light-hearted answer. I'm sure there are many more. 11 years in, and we are still learning things about one another. My husband and I were married for over 6 years before we realized that we had been buying no pulp odge, because we both thought the other hated pulp. My husband loves telling this story. He is a big meat and potatoes guy. On our honeymoon, I told him that I was becoming vegetarian. It was something I'd been thinking about for a while and couldn't implement well while living with my parents. When we got back from vacation, we fell into a routine where I did all the cooking. Turns out that he is lazier about cooking than he likes eating meat. Also, it turns out I'm a pretty good vegetarian cook. He now eats vegetarian whenever we are at home and gets meat at restaurants when he goes out with his friends. He's totally happy with it, truly. It has been 10 years. He's the best. My wife informed me that she could not have children after we got married. This made me sad. Being able to prove her wrong made me happy. I'm glad it sounds like this story has a happy ending, but it is super ducked up that your wife didn't tell you that till after the wedding. She changed a whole lot after the wedding. From wanting kids to not, from hating her parents and the way they treated other people to siding with them. Her mom was a nurse who constantly talked about patients negatively, and her dad was an entitled business owner who tried to run people off the road constantly. Awful road rage. They both were the type of Christians that give the whole religion a bad name. She ended up remarrying one of my old college buddies shortly after the divorce. That he plays video games for 10 to 15 hours a day, even when he married, and has kids, and has a full-time job. With marriage counseling he cut back to 5 hours a day. It's now, year 22nd, back up to about 7 hours a day on weekdays. I never knew marriage was going to be this lonely. Not me, but my mom. She found out that my dad already had a kid when they got married. She owns Hanson's entire discography. Isn't that just one album? She leaves a few seconds on the microwave. There's only so many times a guy can ask her to press the clear button. It's even the same as the stop button. Just press it twice. I wouldn't be surprised if she tortured animals as child. She's a savage.